This is the What the Ruck Rugby podcast with Angus Opperman.
Stormers, 40, Sale, nada, zero, a donut, a bagel. Call it what you want, guys. That was probably the best Stormers performance of the season. Actually, not probably, most definitely the best Stormers performance of the season. I felt that a lot of our key personnel coming back, like especially Dion Fourie, made a massive difference in all three matches the Stormers won now recently against the Lions and the Sharks and also now Sale, the other Sharks. And I felt that we are clicking and gelling at the right time, which is amazing to see. I think there's been a few unhappy people the last couple of weeks, including myself, that started to say, listen, not me though, I'd love Dabo, but that started to say, yeah, Dabo's had his time, he need to go. But sometimes it's the smallest things that needs to be fixed and not throw out the whole trash can with some gems in it. So most definitely, I think that would be the case for the Stormers. And looking back at this match, let's start with Sale quickly. So Sale had opportunities, guys. They got a couple of penalties early on. They could have gone for goal. They didn't. Win for touch, and I understand why. I think, like the Stormers as well, they need to get 4 tries in order to get a bonus point win. But there's an old saying in sport: get the win first and worry about the extras later. They'll win for the jugular, they win for the corner the whole time, and it didn't pay off. Handling error, about handling error in that first 20 minutes with their opportunities. Second half started where they butchered 2 try scoring opportunities in a matter of 2 minutes. And that could have changed the game because it was only 14-0 at halftime. And then after that, the Stormers just blew them away. So, I mean, looking back at this match, I think you need to give the Stormers credit for coming out of a lot of adversity over the last month or so, especially after the game against Harlequins. But, I mean, a guy like Johnny Rocha made his debut in that game, was outstanding yesterday. I think him and Simalani are probably our next best in the combination, if not probably getting towards our best, which is amazing to see. And I saw an interesting stat yesterday on someone's WhatsApp status saying that the last time the Stormers backed a young Ike at number 12, we got Damon the Islander. So he's got a lot of Damon in him, you can see it. So maybe that's the next star rising for the Stormers. Anyway, back to the match. So if you look at the stats, Stormers had 95 carries to Sale's 86, which kind of tells a story. But I think what tells a bigger story is the line breaks. 11 for the Stormers, 3 for Sale. And I think that's where it really changed the game. Because if you get line breaks, your defense scrambles, they concede penalties, you will score tries. And I mean, Stormers outscored them, I think 6 tries to 0. That's amazing. That's really a good feat. And they probably could have scored towards the end as well, and even a bit more, had some of those offloads gone to hand, like Salman Murat offloading and getting the ball intercepted. Even that last play where there was something on with the scrum, I thought they could have gone for the line out. They had 2 penalties and they went for the scrum. But all in all, satisfactory performance. A lot to work on still, but it's quite satisfying to think that there's still a Damon Willems, such a fine Ngombe Zulu, a Connor Evans, and all those guys still out, and we can produce this kind of performance. Now, the only issue now is backing it up next week against Racing in order to qualify for the round of 16 of the Champions Cup. Further on, turnovers 8-1 in the Stormers' favour, and I've been hammering on the turnover stats for weeks now. Or at least in the last couple of videos I did, and the Stormers lost that battle, but again, as a small guy like Dion Fourie making such a big difference in terms of that department because he's so damn good at it. So I think that's the key that the Stormers have been missing. If you look at that loose trio, that's probably the more balanced loose trio the Stormers had this past week. And you got Dion, who's a fetcher, Dave Ewers is a very good ball carrier. And at number 8, you've I think myself Tennyson played number 8. I'm not quite sure now. I'm speaking under correction, but you had 3 guys who complemented each other. Because I think in the games against Harlequins and all those other matches, they just had big ball carriers, but no one who could play towards the ball, no one with speed to break away from a ruck, and that's what the Stormers needed, and they got it now. Penalties conceded, wouldn't say even, but very close. 10 to the Stormers, 13 to Sale. But I think the penalties the Stormers conceded were mostly at scrum time, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. Yellow cards, that's what we're going to get to now as well. Frans Malherbe being the first one of the Stormers to get a yellow card, or the only one actually, and that was in the 35th, 36th minute, I think. And I looked at that scrummaging, and look, I'm not one to bash refs. You saw one of the referees after McAnthony's comments saying he wants to retire off the game, which is not great to see. We need these guys in the game, obviously. But I think it was Bevan Rod. Every time Frans Malherbe conceded, and I say conceded a penalty, Bevan Rod was the guy scrummaging inwards, and yet France got penalized. And this is probably the best tight end, if not, yeah, one of the best tight ends in the world, getting a yellow card for repeated infringements within 35 minutes. Even Davo said, that's quite remarkable for a sole guy to do that. But I think officiating overall was okay. I wouldn't say it was great, but in the end of the day, the referee didn't play a factor in either team's win or loss. I think that's the most important thing that comes out of this contest. And the in territory, this is where it gets funny. Sale at 55%, Stormers at 45%. So you look at all the stats and you think to yourself, how did Sale lose this game? I mean, like I said, they were in the Stormers half for the majority of the time, their position as well. And I don't have the stats of the handling errors, but there was a lot, and especially from Sale, and they were costly. Stormers had a few themselves, but it didn't cost them the match. So overall, I feel the Stormers are peaking at the right time. It's halfway through the season. I'm not sure if you guys remember URC 1. I think they were in a very similar position in terms of lock position. And after that, they had a really good run at home and turned out to be finalists at the end of the day in winning the URC final, the inaugural one. So you can probably see that trend again coming through. Of course, next year, or not next year, sorry, 2025, this year, the Six Nations, their guys going to be out. So you might have weekend squads playing against South African teams who are full strength with their Rugby Championship guys or the Springbok guys. And that could change the whole dynamic of the competition. I think we need to talk about a global calendar soon, but I'm not going to do it in this video. It's another discussion for another day. But I think the Stormers now, they can tell themselves, listen, guys, if we can, keep the squad fresh and make sure there's no injuries, or not make sure, but, at least try to keep the injury count to a minimal, and get some of these guys like Sasha and Damien and all those guys back. We can really bank on winning the URC, but also give ourselves a shot at the Champions Cup. The Stormers will be taking a very strong group towards Europe, or to Europe, I should say. They will play this weekend, I think, against Racing 92. And should they win that one, they are in with a shot for the round of 16 of the Champions Cup. If not, there's still a fifth spot for the Challenge Cup, which is not too bad. It gets it some reward. But also they're going to have a strong squad for that match and also for Leinster before they come back, which is actually okay. It's better than traveling for one game and coming back. So that's going to be two big games for them, but I think also a good test. And also remember one thing, I'm not a guy who delves too much into history, but Leinster had never beaten the Stormers. There was one draw away from home and two losses to the Stormers at DHL Stadium. So interesting times. I don't think the Stormers are as good as the one URC one, but I can see the potential of them getting there, and especially, like I said, with personnel coming back in the process as well. So, guys, that's my take on this weekend's game. I'm obviously looking forward to the next one against Leinster. I think it's going to be tight. Not Leinster, sorry, against Racing 92. It's going to be a tight one. Racing, not the best in the top 14, but we've seen these top 14 sides can easily beat one of the top URC sides. If you looked at the Bulls game against Cust on Sunday, I mean, the Bulls started well, and end of the day they got a hiding, which was quite sad to see. But at the end of the day, you need to be on top of your game in order to play against these top 14 sides. And there will be a familiar face playing against the Stormers, Achiva Daimani. And I think there's another prop that's also playing there. I'm not sure what his name is now. I think it's Liam Marvin. So there's going to be some guys that's familiar with the Stormers system that's not been away for too long. But I think the Stormers, I think they also played against Stad Francais last season. They had to win that one in order to qualify. So they managed to do that away from home. So I think there's a good chance for the Stormers to make that one, and a good chance to beat Leinster the week after as well. So let's see what happens. I'm more optimistic than I was last year, most definitely. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back next week with another one. And have a blessed week, have a good one, and keep safe. Cheers.
This is the What the Ruck Rugby podcast with Angus Opperman.